Imagine waking up one morning and suddenly your world goes silent. No Facebook, no Instagram, no WhatsApp, no YouTube. Overnight, every app you use to speak, study, laugh, and live, gone. That's not a scene from a dystopian movie. That's Nepal in 2025. And this silence lit a fire in an entire generation. A fire now known as the Gen Z protest. Welcome back to Think Nova, where we break down the biggest events and ideas shaping our world. Today, we're looking at Nepal's youth uprising that's shaken the country and caught the world's attention. Why are young people risking everything in the streets? What really triggered it? And could this protest change Nepal forever? Let's find out. It all started on September 4th, 2025. The government suddenly banned 26 major social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, YouTube, even X, formerly Twitter. The reason? Officials claimed these platforms refused to register under new regulations designed to curb hate speech and misinformation. But for millions of Nepali youth, this wasn't about regulation. It felt like censorship, an attempt to silence their voices online and offline. And for a generation already fed up with unemployment, corruption, and broken promises, this ban was the last straw. The faces of the protests are Generation Z, students, first-time workers, digital natives who grew up with the internet as their classroom, their workspace, their community. Even when social media went dark, they found ways to mobilize through encrypted apps, VPNs, and sheer word of mouth. Soon, thousands marched through Kathmandu and other cities. Clashes broke out near Parliament. Police used tear gas, water cannons, rubber bullets, and even live rounds. The cost? At least 19 people killed in the early days, hundreds more injured, and yet the crowds kept growing. This wasn't just about apps anymore, it was about power. The protests quickly evolved. What began as anger over social media bans exploded into full-blown demands for political change. Protesters called for resignations, accountability, and fresh elections. In some cities, government buildings and politicians' homes were attacked. The government, facing a massive unrest, eventually lifted the ban. But by then, the protests had outgrown the trigger. This was no longer just about Facebook or YouTube. It was about decades of corruption, inequality, and neglect. Under enormous pressure, Prime Minister K.P. Sharma Oli resigned. For the first time in history, Nepal appointed a woman, Sushila Karki, as interim Prime Minister. New elections are now planned for 2026. Investigations have been promised into the killings and use of force, but many young protesters say this is only a small victory. Removing one leader doesn't fix a broken system, and trust in the government remains dangerously low. This movement is about more than in Nepal. It's a sign of what happens when a digitally connected generation decides enough is enough. For Gen Z, social media isn't just entertainment, it's a lifeline. Take it away and you don't just mute their voices, you attack their identity. The Nepal protests reveal a bigger truth. Young people everywhere are done tolerating corruption, censorship, and false promises, and they're willing to fight for accountability no matter the cost. So, what happens next? Will the interim government bring real reforms? Will elections in 2026 deliver new leaders, or just recycle the old ones? No one can say for sure. But one thing is clear: Nepal's Gen Z has changed the conversation forever. They've proven that when young voices unite, even governments are forced to listen. This was Think Nova, helping you understand the stories that shape our world. If this video gave you clarity, hit like, share it forward, and subscribe for more. And let me know in the comments, do you think youth-led protests like this can create lasting change? Until next time, stay curious, stay bold,